Hello, hello. Hi, Jahan. How are you?
Hi Dana, all well today, Alhamdulillah. You?
Alhamdulillah. All good. Alhamdulillah.
I'm regaining some energy.
Wonderful.
The yeah, the floors where I feel I feel much better, and I think the withdrawal symptoms are getting a bit less. Alhamdulillah, all is well.
Alhamdulillah. They, at first, yeah, they can feel very scary and they can feel, um, obviously, if you've never gone through it, you don't know what's at the other end of it. So it can feel like, where is this going? Is there an end to this? It might feel like there's no way I can feel better after these symptoms, but that's exactly how the detoxing process works. It has to get worse. Of course, it's in varying intensities for everybody, but it does, the body needs to go through what we call a healing crisis before it comes out on the other side. And the healing crisis is not something that happens just once. So if all of you have been going through, hi Rania, if all of you have been going through, and as you've been mentioning today, especially, I want to talk about that, all the different aches and pains that are coming up for you in your body, things you've either never experienced before or used to experience under certain conditions, and now they're sort of popping up out of nowhere. And that can be worrisome and that can be scary. And a big reason for that is because we've always been programmed that when the body gives us a signal, this is a problem. When the body shows us a symptom of pain or discomfort, then it means the body's malfunctioning. It means there's something wrong. It means we need to go and medicate it. We need to stop the pain. We need to stop the discomfort. So when you're going through the healing process for the first time, especially, and you start to feel shoulder pain out of nowhere, you have lower back pain, or you have pre-existing conditions like a thyroid condition that gives you chills and makes you cold anyway, or you have ovulation pain, or suddenly your legs feel very heavy and you have aches and pains, like usually where you don't have them, because of the way we've been programmed to be with our bodies. Just a minute, guys. Just a minute. Just a minute. Ruby's here. I have to say a big hello because Ruba is one of my best friends since we were kids, and this is the first time I see her in years. How are you, Ruby? Habibti? Okay, we're gonna have to get back to that in a minute. I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm gonna get very emotional. Um, so it can feel very, very, very scary. It can feel like, well, every time something like this has happened to me, the doctor has told me that there's a problem here. The doctor's told me that there's something wrong. I need to go and take pain medication. I need to go and take a painkiller. I can't leave myself in this. But we know for a fact that the body is always responding correctly. The body doesn't make mistakes. When your body is inflamed and it's full of toxins and it's not getting enough of its raw materials, then it's going to tell you. And that's why you had all of those symptoms coming into the program. It wasn't malfunctioning, it was telling you. You didn't know how to decipher the messages, you didn't know how to decipher the symptoms, but it was trying to tell you, right? I cannot deal with the overload of processed foods, with the overload of caffeine, sodas, junk, processed sugar. You're not giving me enough raw materials to build my cells and to thrive. And so the symptoms show up: headaches, period pain, constipation, or diarrhea, or you get an actual diagnosis, PCOS or diabetes. This is all the body just trying to get your attention that something is not right. And now that you start the detox process and you start the healing process, the body again is responding. It's not breaking down. It's telling you, okay, we're going through a healing process right now, and here's what I have to release right now. And since you had toxins stored inside your bones and stored inside your thyroid and stored inside your ovaries, I'm going to have to purge them from these organs. I'm going to have to purge them from these places. So it's going to feel a little bit uncomfortable until I do that. None of it is ever a sign of the body breaking down. The body is always responding. Please always remember this so that you don't panic, you don't worry. When you hear your body give you a symptom, when you hear the body communicating with you, it's asking for your help. It's asking for you to cooperate. So in this instance, and all with all the detox withdrawal symptoms, If you revert back to the fear-based thinking that this is a problem and you take a pain medication, you're going to suppress the process. The body's trying to purge, you get scared, you take a pain medication, you like put a what's it called, a cork on the healing. You push it all the way back down, and then what happens? It gets stored again in whichever organ it was trying to be purged from, and then at a later time the body again is going to respond and is going to give you the signal that it needs to come out. So it's uncomfortable. We're not saying that it's an easy process, but it is a necessary process. We can't get to where the body starts to regenerate if it hasn't purged the toxins first. So pain in your lower back, a lot of you are getting this right here. Remember, that's where your kidneys are. If you put your hand on your waist and sort of where your thumb hits behind here, that's where your kidneys are. And your kidneys are one of your biggest detox organs, just like your liver. So you might also feel some discomfort where your liver is, which is right under your right boob right here. That's your liver. So anytime you feel a soreness there, like a dull ache, maybe even a sharp pain, those organs are, going deep inside themselves and collecting the toxins and pushing them through. So you're going to feel that discomfort. And if you have a pre-existing condition, as I said, if you have regular period pains and they're very uncomfortable, if you have ovulation pains, if when you have your period, you regularly get headaches or dizziness or fatigue or irritability, all of those symptoms are going to flare up before they get worse. Endometriosis pain, thyroid symptoms like fatigue or feeling cold in your hands and your feet. Any symptom that you came into this program with has the potential of flaring and getting worse before it gets better. Don't let that scare you. When that happens, it means the process is working. It means your body is purging and on its way to healing. So this is what we want to talk about today, which is the next steps. Right now, most of you are deep into the deep detox today. And we finish our first 9-day cycle on Friday with a juicing day, which is, we've gone through phases of intensity with detoxing. The first 3 days, it was a mild, not a very deep detox because we still had animal protein, we still had some fats, we still had some whole grains. Then we took a stage deeper on Sunday. We removed all the animal protein, all the fat, all the nuts, all the seeds. And then on Friday, we're going to take it even deeper where we're going to remove all the solids. So all you do on Friday is just drink fruit juices and liquids all day. So any symptoms that might be reversing for you right now, detox withdrawal symptoms, maybe they're starting to ease up. If they come back again on Friday or Saturday, the day after your juicing day, then you know why, because you've taken the body into another level of detoxing. And that would be something that is supposed to happen. So you're going to finish that on Friday, your first 9-day cycle. What are you going to do starting Saturday? This I'm going to leave up to each one of you because right now you're the one who's experiencing this process in your body. Right now you're the one who has the symptoms. You're the one who has the condition or the disease. And I need you to take a very, very strong and honest stance with yourself starting Thursday and Friday as to how you want to move forward. Your options are to repeat the 9 days again, to go into a more flexible detox, which is similar to the first 3 days that we did, which includes animal protein. Or you can do what I call the hybrid cleanse. And this is when you would go back to that document. It's in the first email you got, which is a sort of in between. All of those 3 options, you're still detoxing. The only difference between them is the intensity. Are you doing a deep detox by repeating the 9 days? Are you doing a mid-level detox by going into hybrid? Or are you doing the slowest level of detox, which is clean eating, which is what we did in the first 3 days? How are you going to choose which one is best for you? My recommendation is always, if you have an actual diagnosed condition, so you have endometriosis, you have a thyroid condition, you have ADHD, you have IBS, you have diabetes, you have insulin resistance, any condition that you've been living with and taking medication for, or any symptom, even it hasn't become full-blown where a doctor had to diagnose you with something, but you've had persistent chronic symptoms for over 1 year, then I would recommend you repeat the 9 days again. because this is the fastest way to healing. Repeat it again for the same cycle. So you would wake up on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday and do what you did starting Thursday. So you would bring in animal protein again for 3 days, and then you do the 6 days with just fruits and vegetables, ending with a juicing day. That's my recommendation for if you have a condition. If you don't have a diagnosed condition and your symptoms were headaches, fatigue, some period pain around my period, joint pain, emotional ups and downs, then that gives you a little bit more room to work with because the healing doesn't need to go as deep. You definitely have the option always, everybody here, regardless of the intensity of your symptoms, to repeat the 9 days. That is the fastest way to get you to heal. So, but if you don't have a diagnosed condition, I would say you do have a little bit more flexibility than somebody who does to choose either the hybrid or the clean eating. If you reach the 9 days and you're completely symptom free, and I don't think that will be anybody here because it's impossible to completely heal in 9 days. But if you have, or if you're traveling, or if you feel like you need a break in order to make it sustainable, or you feel like doing a little bit of a mix, then that's what you would do starting Saturday. But I need you to be really, really honest with yourself. Don't choose the lesser or they're not less, they're all effective, but the less intense detox just because you just feel like it's going to be easier. Each one of you knows within your gut, what is the next best step for you. If you need to continue to go deep because you have a deep-rooted condition or symptoms, or if you have leeway, like your body's showing you signs, you weren't diagnosed with something like this, so you can move on and with a less intense plan, then you do that. But know this, whichever one you choose is not wrong. Whichever one you choose will work as long as we're keeping the major inflammatory foods out, that long list I gave you, the wheat, the dairy, the processed sugars, the caffeine, the alcohol, the soy, the yeast, all of that, you will continue to heal. The only difference is the speed. Will you heal faster or a little bit slower or even a little bit slower? And then you have the option, we still have 3 months together. You have the option as we continue, and this is why we have the 3 months, to continuously gauge and go back and forth. Okay, this week I think I've been doing clean eating, but you know what? I actually felt a lot better when I did the 9 days. Next week, I'm going to do the 9 days again. You do the 9 days, maybe once and twice, and you feel like I've really got this and you feel really good. I feel like I need to take a little break. Let me move into hybrid or clean eating. You can do that also. So your responsibility starting this weekend is to continuously check in with your body, check in with your detox withdrawal symptoms, check in with your pre-existing condition to see how it's going, and then choose what you're going to do basically for the next week or 10 days. Is it a 9-day cycle? Is it a hybrid cleanse? Or is it clean eating? And then report to me because I need to know what everybody's doing so that we can be together on this. And I if you start to show symptoms of something and I don't know which program you've chosen, then I can't help you. So you have a responsibility starting this week to report in the group and let me know, right, this week I'm going back to the 9 days. This week I'm shifting into hybrid. This week I'm shifting into clean eating. Is that clear for everybody? Jahan, go ahead.
Dana, I'm traveling on Friday, inshallah. So I had discussed with you being able to juice on Thursday instead. Tamim?
Yes.
My question is then, what about Friday? Do I continue with the mangoes in the morning and asparagus in the evening, or do I start the hybrid ala tool? Because my plan is to do the hybrid over the weekend.
Okay, so whichever plan you choose, you're going to notice that your morning routine doesn't change. So whether you choose clean eating, whether you choose to repeat the 9 days, whether you choose hybrid, well, with the exception of hybrid has a couple of other breakfast options like potato options and things. But for the majority of your breakfast options moving forward to simplify things for you will always be lemon, celery, berry smoothie. Don't complicate that. The only difference that's going to be is your lunch and your dinner based on which plan that you choose. If you are traveling, if any of you are traveling after you're done with the 9 days, And I always recommend when you're traveling, regardless if you're traveling now or within the 3 months, anytime you travel, I always recommend you do the clean eating because the clean eating option gives you protein options. So if you're not at home, if you're staying at somebody's house, if you're in a hotel, if you're at a work conference and you need to go and you can't make your own food, it's very easy to go out and eat out in a restaurant and ask for any grilled protein, grilled fish, grilled chicken, grilled steak, grilled meat with a side of salad and a side of roasted vegetables and a side of roasted potatoes. That is the simplest thing to do when you are not at home. When it comes to breakfast, it can be a little bit more tricky. I would say if you have access to fresh fruits, you can just have a bowl of fresh fruits as if you're traveling. Most countries in the world right now, you will be able to find a juice bar somewhere. I don't think I've been to any country in the past few years that didn't have some kind of a juice bar or a place that I can get a smoothie, even if it's something that's pre-prepared. Do that. You might not be able to do lemon water, celery, and smoothie, but for sure, while you're traveling, you'll be able to have some form of juice or smooth ready-made from some shop from somewhere. So do your homework before traveling, see where you're going to be staying, see what's available near you. Some places might even deliver. If not, let's say you're staying in a hotel, let's say you're staying with friends, then the easiest thing would be just to get a big bowl of fruits and have as much fruits as you want for breakfast. Jahan, no mangoes in hybrid though. Yes, you do. Mangoes are anytime, anywhere, anything goes. All fruits are everywhere, anytime, anything goes. You actually have a smoothie in the hybrid. I think that is just mangoes and berries, actually. Yeah, for lunch, as a lunch option. You're welcome. Any questions, ladies, about your symptoms? About what you think you might be moving into starting Saturday? If any of you are unsure, then please message me and I can walk you through it. I can talk you through it to see what would be the best option for you. If it's not automatically sort of hitting you that, and you'll know intuitively in your gut, don't go against your gut. If your gut tells you, I really do need to repeat the 9 days, then you do that. If you're not sure, then message me, reach out to me, and I can help you make the right decision.
Anna, hi, how are you?
Hi, Danya. I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. So I'm traveling just for 2 days, and I would have wanted to go into hybrid. Is it okay to do the clean eating for 2 days and then go back to hybrid while
Yes.
adding animal protein is not, especially if I want to do a detox, just adding animal protein just for 2 days, would it disrupt the healing process if I need a deep healing?
No, because anyway, let's say you chose to do the 9 days and you weren't traveling, anyway, on Saturday, you would reintroduce protein for 3 days. It is part of the cycle, it is part of the detox cycle. So if you're traveling, so that's perfectly fine. So let's say you're traveling and you need to do that to be able to sustain it while you're traveling, then of course do that.
So in all cases, I would have had to, before starting the next detox, I would have had to add animal protein. Is that what you're saying?
If you were choosing to do the 9 days again, so let's say you finished the juicing day on Friday and you decided Saturday you're going to repeat the 9 days, then in all cases you would have had animal protein for 3 days anyway.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Jahan, I had prepared a regular smoothie that took out the mango. No, you don't need to do that. You can keep the mango. Ruby. Sorry, guys. I can't help it. I've known this girl since we were like 10, and I haven't seen her in, 30 years or something? Anybody else have a question for me? Oh, Jahan, sorry, go ahead.
Dana, I bought the essential oil.
Yep.
coconut, lavender, and peppermint.
Okay.
And I take them with me everywhere,
Okay.
on a hike, at the office, everywhere.
Okay.
But I'm embarrassed to use them because the peppermint especially, it smells so strong.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a fadiha in the office, already in the bag, I smell it very much, So I was never able, I never had the guts to use them actually.
Do you think you need to use them in the office? Is it that bad?
لا مثلا today I have lower back pain مثلا,
Okay. Okay.
and the other day I was dizzy in the morning and I had a meeting it could happen this is the عدة no.
Yeah.
So I have to be ready with it, and I spend more time in the office than elsewhere. So
True.
بس I was, I wasn't comfortable using them
I mean,
at all so
I
far.
wouldn't worry too much about what people think. Probably what would happen is people will get curious. Nobody's going to be upset. Nobody's going to be turned off by the smell. It's not a bad smell. So I would say, obviously, you need to do whatever you need to do. Does anybody in your office, I mean, I guess most offices are non-smoking now, but let's say smoking or vaping or eating junk, does anybody take you into consideration when they're doing something that they need to do for themselves in the office? Anything. It could be anything, right? You have to start sort of fortifying your get a thicker skin around what you need to do. The end of the day, this is peppermint oil. And I find that when it comes to these things, people are more curious than offended. So you might people saying, finding people say, what is this? What are you doing? Why are you using this? Why are you doing this? And then, you open up the conversation. Much, 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 this happens much more frequently than people being like, ew, what's that? I've never actually heard of that happening. People are either going to stay quiet or they're going to get curious. Roba, what kind of herbal teas can we have when we visit people or go out? Roba, anything that doesn't have caffeine. So chamomile, peppermint, sage, any of even the fruity combinations that they make, cinnamon, clove, anything as long as it's like an herb and it doesn't have any black tea or caffeine added to it. And you can add honey to it to sweeten it. That also works. Julie, I love the smell of peppermint. Me too. I think it's just one of those things initially, just once you get used to it, it's no big deal. And the thing is, once you start using it a lot, you stop smelling it. So I don't even smell it anymore, but sometimes I'll put on an essential oil and I'll go to somebody's house, like my in-laws or something, and my father-in-law will be like, "Ooh, I can smell all the oils." And I said, "I can't smell anything." Like you get so used to it. And like I said, people get curious and it's not a bad smell. So I would worry if there was something offensive, like if you walked in without deodorant or something, I would worry more about that than having a peppermint smell on you. Any other questions, ladies? So tomorrow is your potato day. Tomorrow is the day you get to add sweet potatoes or both, or sort of what we call the starchy vegetables, maybe zucchini, maybe a butternut squash, ara asali. Any one of those is on the plan tomorrow. So don't worry about quantities. Don't worry if you only want one or the other. If you want to mix, put as much as you want in there and enjoy it. You get that tomorrow. I need to dye my hair. So I have an all natural color restore. I haven't used it yet. I've literally had it for 2 or 3 years in my closet. I'm just waiting for when I absolutely will need to use it. Some of my clients who have used it have said that it's a bit time consuming in terms of the process. You do it at home. I think I had a client who took it to her hair salon and did it. So see, but I'll tag me in the group, Ruba, and I'll put the link for that for you. What's the best oil for back pain? The lavender and the peppermint both are great for back pain. Mix them both together. You might have to add a little bit more, just also because the back is a bigger area. So you might have to add a little bit more and make it a little bit more intense. So maybe not just a few drops. I would do maybe 6 drops of each and then massage it into your back. But both of those are great for back pain, like really, really stronger types of pain. Period pain, back pain, those are really good for that. Sweet potato is only allowed in the clean eating detox, right? It's technically allowed anytime, anywhere, anyhow. It's a great healing food. The only reason we put it tomorrow is because if I had told you from day one that go ahead and have sweet potatoes, go and have regular potatoes as much as you want, we all know what everybody's going to prioritize. You're going to go and have potatoes and nobody's going to eat the broccoli, and for sure nobody's going to eat the Brussels sprouts. So we need to get you used to the healing greens, and then you can bring in the potatoes. But there's absolutely nothing wrong with potatoes and absolutely nothing wrong with sweet potatoes in and of themselves. It's just that they're so good, they're so much easier on the palate that we will naturally prioritize them over the vegetables. But you can have them whenever you want. So let's say if you decide to do the 9 days again, the next round that you do the 9 days or the one after that, if you choose to add a little bit of potatoes or sweet potatoes on a daily basis, in addition, you still have all of those vegetables. Like that would be the condition, right? You still have all of those vegetables, but you want to add some sweet potatoes and regular potatoes to that, you can do that. Oh, I've been having zucchini. Didn't realize it wasn't okay. No, zucchini is perfectly fine. Every single vegetable is fine. Zucchini, eggplant, bell peppers, artichoke, okra, in addition to the broccoli and the Brussels sprouts and the asparagus. All of those are great. I need help for natural hair dye too. Yeah, please tag me in the group, ladies, and I'll give you the link for that. Even spasms. Yes, even spasms. Spasms, though, are an indication of a magnesium deficiency. So then I would also add in the magnesium oil spray for that first to relax the spasms. Okay. We're going to get into supplements later. Magnesium is something that probably you would need to take if that's something that is chronic for you. So start with the magnesium oil spray to relax the muscle. And then if there's pain, then apply the lavender and peppermint mix. Mustard, vinegar, pomegranate molasses, are these allowed? None of these right now. Only mustard if you've got the French like Dijon mustard that's grainy. A little bit of that, nothing else. No supplements yet. No supplements. Crushed chili. Yes, if it's fresh, crushed chili is just, there's nothing else added to it, whether fresh or dry. Yes. All herbs, all spices are all in, as long as they're pure. So you want to check sometimes. There are some spice brands that will add chemicals and additives and MSG to the spice. So you're not just getting allspice, for example. It's allspice and it's got MSG in it. So you just need to check the label to make sure, because if it does have MSG, they are required to label it. Otherwise, if it's plain, dried crushed chili, dried coriander, dried dill, allspice, salt, pepper, paprika, any of those, all of that goes. Please do a program for kids. So I will never do a program for kids. I can't even get my own. I had a hard time with my own kids getting them to eat like this. But here's what you could do for your kids. And when I say I will never do a program for kids, I mean I will never have kids on a Zoom call like this and lead them through a program. I just don't have the skills to do that. I don't, all my respect to people, ladies who are, and men who are teachers. I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you spend all day with children. It's not something that I can do. So here's what you can do, though. There's nothing in this plan that is not child friendly. So this plan, the clean eating part, you don't need to do a deep detox for kids or anybody in your family. Maybe your husbands are the only ones who would join you on a deep detox. For the rest of your family, the clean eating plan is the way that everybody should be eating anyway. So kids don't need the dairy, they don't need the wheat or the bread or the pasta or any of that list. Nobody needs that. Not adults, not kids. So if you want to start to slowly implement this way of eating for your family, you would go with the clean eating way of doing that, where you've got the animal protein, you have some whole grains. The breakfast options are not just celery juice and berry smoothie. You have some like chia pudding, you have some different things that you can put in there, but all of the main concepts can be applied to your entire family. There's nothing here that is, I know what we call this the hormone detox program, so automatically we just associate it with women and their hormones, and maybe this way of eating is only for women and their hormones. No, that's just because I want to only work with women. So I call it the hormone detox program. Otherwise, I would have called it, the family detox program or the kid-friendly detox program. The reason I call it hormone is because I just want to work with women. But this way of eating is the way everybody should be eating. The clean eating way is how men, women, children, old age, everybody should be eating that way. Julie, oh my God, my partner's little boy, 7 years, doesn't eat any veg. Luckily, he eats fruit. Great. Their mom gives them sweets and sugar every day, and regularly their dinner is chicken nuggets and chips. It's so upsetting. I think they might like the breakfast movie though. It's very challenging. I mean, we've all been there. None of us grew up eating this way, right? I grew up having milk and cereal every single day, and on the weekends it was menaish. And then lunch was always pasta and rice. And then at the end of the day, we'd have more sandwiches. And on the weekends, it was, and there was dessert. And my mom made, mu'agganat every day. They were in the freezer. We just take them out and eat. We always had fruits at home, but it was never like, oh, you can't eat, you shouldn't eat this. We had Pepsi every single day growing up. Every day I come home from school, open up a can of Pepsi, lots of ice, and sit and have that while I do my homework. It was very, very different. So, and here's the thing, if the messaging, right? And if you are, and by messaging, I mean what you hear doctors say, or what you see on TV, what you see commercials, what you see people on TV and in shows eating is what? Like, you're not seeing people eating broccoli. You're not seeing commercials for asparagus or even apples. You're seeing the commercials for the junk food, and the kids are, more importantly. And the marketeers for these brands are very smart. They direct the marketing towards kids, right? So all you see are commercials for junk. You see commercials for cereals, for candy, for dairy, for flavored yogurt, for the chips, for the seed oils. If you ever were to sit and focus on what commercials you're being sold, what is that very indirect programming you're getting, it's all around the inflammatory foods. So if you're somebody who's too busy, if you're a busy mom, you don't have time to look into this, and you trust the information because most people just say, the government wouldn't do that to us. Like, the government wouldn't put bad food on the shelves. They wouldn't allow that. Like, they wouldn't intentionally try to harm us, except we know that they would. So if you just trust and have never had an inkling to question, then then the normal is, I'm tired, I'm busy, I'm a working mom, I'm going to come home and I'm going to boil a bag of pasta, or I'm going to fry a bag of chicken nuggets and fries. I'm going to keep them quiet with the sugar. It takes unlearning all of this to bring something different, and it needs a much bigger plan, right, of the marketing, of the messaging, of the commercials, which I don't think is going to happen anytime soon. So, but when you start to make small changes with kids, and this is what I noticed, they love sweet things because we are born, like, breast milk is, I think, 90% sugar and 10% protein. So we are programmed from birth to want natural sugar. And this is why you think they might like the breakfast smoothie. Kids will gravitate to sweet things. And it does take time, just like how you went through this whole withdrawal process and the hunger process and the getting over your cravings. Kids will have to go through that too. And it's tough to make them do that. So if they're really young though, and I tell moms this all the time. So if they're like 3 and below, where you are the one still in control, maybe even 5 and below, where you're really in control of what they eat, what you're making for breakfast, what you're sending for lunch at school. If you are still that much in control, then you have a much higher chance of completely flipping the way they eat, 100%. They might object at first, but what are they going to do? You're the one providing the food. This is all we have at home. This is all we have in the fridge. Once they're in their teenage years and onwards, this is where it gets really, really difficult, because you can't make a teenager eat something they don't want to eat. You can't make them, go to school with a salad when all their friends are going with like nuggets and junk, because they're going to feel embarrassed. So, and I went through this with my own kids. When I first became a health coach, my daughters were 15 and 13, I think, or 15, 13. And they just completely resisted everything I was doing. My son was only 3 at the time, so it was really easy. I was just giving him the fruits and the vegetables, and he didn't know any better. My daughters resisted a long time. And then as they got older, this is just now how they eat on their own. My son now is a teenager. We're in the resistance phase. I know he's going to come out of it soon, but what I do at home, so I don't ask what he eats outside of the house. I know it's junk 100%. So I make sure that what he's eating at home, like he knows he's going to have a smoothie for breakfast, and he doesn't complain about it anymore. He used to complain, now he doesn't. And then his main meal at home, there is no pasta, there is no junk, there's nothing fried, there's no French fries. It's a protein, it's vegetables. He needs some rice, I make him some rice, and that's it. So as much as you can, you try to navigate where you can have an impact and just ignore where you can't, because there's no point. If it's outside of the house and they have control over what they buy and what they eat, let it be. And start with one meal at a time and start very gradually. And I would say just introductions, like if you're sitting and you have your bowl of vegetables, or you have a soup that you've made, invite them to try it. You still have all the other food that they eat, but invite them. And they might, even if they're younger, they might get curious as to what you're eating. And I've definitely had moms working with me who are also grandmothers, if they were, on baby duty and they were in charge of taking care of their little niece or their nephew who was like 2 or 3, she would actually give them a little bit of her smoothie and they would love it. So introduce little by little, and you're always going to be leading by example. You can't make anybody. I mean, look, if you just look at yourselves, right? Did anybody make you come into this program? No. Some of you have waited years. Some of you, and you told me this, some of you have told me, I've been waiting 5 years to do your program. So if you, as an adult, mature, rational, you're in charge of yourself, it's taken you 5 years to take this step, then you know that nobody can be forced into this. So be very gentle, mindful with your family members, and especially your kids. Even though as moms, once you start to feel the benefit of this, it's very natural. You want everybody you love to start to feel better. You want everybody to start to heal and get off their meds. That doesn't mean that they want to. So you just need to lead by example. Keep doing what you need to do for yourself, and hope that somebody's watching quietly, somebody's looking for you for leadership, and then they might come to you and ask you to help. And then with your kids, take it step by step. Alia, I recently tested my magnesium levels through a blood test and it showed no deficiency. So how come I have the symptoms of being insufficient? I don't know if you saw yesterday's class, Alia, where I talked about testing in general. So whenever you go and do any kind of blood test, you're checking for anything. So let's say you're checking for thyroid, you're checking for sugar levels, you're checking for estrogen levels, you're checking for magnesium levels. What they measure you against, these tests, is against the general population. And we all know what the general population anywhere in the world looks like. 90% of the people, between 88 and 94% of any population, depending on where you are in the world, is metabolically sick, meaning they're deficient, and they're toxic, and they're not eating the right foods, and they have some kind of symptom, and they're just not optimally healthy. So when you go and measure your magnesium, they're going to take your results and compare that to a general population. So if you're measuring it, Alia, are you here in Cairo? Yes, you are, aren't you? So let's say they're comparing it to a general population in Egypt, okay? The general population in Egypt is what? Is poor, unfortunately, underfed, undernourished, eating very, very low nutrient dense foods, living on a huge part of the population lives on junk food and fast food. This is the same as everywhere, right? So that's what they're measuring you against. So they're not measuring you against an optimal population that is healthy and thriving and eating all these amazing foods, and let's see what their magnesium levels are. They're measuring you against a very, very sick population. So compared to them, you're fine. So this is why I was saying yesterday, we always go by symptoms, because you can go and do the tests and all the tests will show you're completely fine, but you have a long list of symptoms and you know from your own direct experience of your body that you're not okay. You're having spasms. Okay. If you are having spasms regularly, any kind of muscle spasms, any kind of twitch in your eye, period cramps, if you have high blood pressure, if you can't sleep, if you have insomnia, if you have restless leg, if you have anxiety, those are all signs of a magnesium deficiency. And then you go and test, and the test comes back and says you're fine, but you're not sleeping, you're anxious, you have spasms, you have muscle twitches, you have period cramps, all of which are textbook signs of a magnesium deficiency. So what are you going to do? Are you going to follow the test that is confusing you, or listen to your body? So what we do here is go back to, like, nobody can deny your symptoms. Nobody can tell you you're not having a spasm. Nobody can tell you, no, actually, you're fine. You have a direct experience of it. So we continue to monitor progress by your symptoms. You have spasms, that is magnesium deficiency. So we'll get into supplements next week. And actually, magnesium, I never really recommend like a laundry list of supplements ever. When and if we need them, we bring them in one by one. But the one I do always recommend right away for everybody is magnesium. Yes, I also had eye twitches. There you go. When we talk about them next week, Ruba, I'll explain them all. I'll explain how to bring them in. I'll also explain, which is really key, the quality of supplements. So most people are just going out and buying supplements from whatever local pharmacy, Amazon, online. And the quality of the supplement really, really matters. You'll learn how to read the ingredients so that when and if you bring back your supplements, you also need to make sure that you are consuming a quality supplement that doesn't have additives and things that could be offsetting what potentially the benefit of the supplement could be. So we'll get into all of that next week. All good, ladies? All right, I'll post the replay. Please share your 1 to 3 takeaways. Keep your questions coming. And tomorrow's class, very important. Tomorrow's class is the thought model class. You will need a pen and paper for this class. It's not something you can just listen to. It's an interactive class. I need you to be writing things, and I'll show you how to figure things out. So please bring a pen and paper, a pencil, paper. You can't do it on your phone. It needs to be something you're going to handwrite. Okay? All right, ladies. I'll see you all tomorrow, inshallah. Ruby. Bye, ladies.